he got asked about Tulsi Gabbard. And the reporter, the journalist said, there are foreign allies who are very nervous about sharing intelligence with her. And he said, oh, I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. I heard that for the first time the other day. I mean, I think she's a great American. I think she's got tremendous common sense. This woman with tremendous common sense, Tulsi Gabbard, went to Syria, met with Assad, legitimized him as a member of Congress, then came back here and advocated for him. You're telling me this woman went over there, came back and advocated for him, and she's got common sense? Our foreign allies are right to be nervous about sharing intelligence with her.
Well, she's a weird one because she has so many characteristics that you would think that everyone who's a progressive would want as president. She is a veteran who twice served overseas, twice deployed. She's been a veteran for a long time congresswoman. She's from Hawaii. She's Hawaiian. You would say she's a woman of color.
They say she's a woman of color.
She's a very articulate, rock solid woman, and they've tried to find a bunch of dirt on her, and they can't. They don't know what.
When Joe Rogan, The View, a $50 million lawsuit, and a nuclear roast are combined, what do you get? Legal drama Joe Rogan has front row seats and a flamethrower of sarcasm, and trust us, he's not holding back. Grab your popcorn because this isn't just a lawsuit, it's a roast battle with legal repercussions. Tulsi Gabbard just went full savage and slapped The View with a lawsuit so big, Whoopi's wig almost filed for witness protection.
And we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you the question?
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
Finally, someone, not just anybody, took The Viewpoint seriously enough to file a lawsuit against them. Imp, you were wondering how long it would take for someone to call their bluff with a subpoena rather than a strongly worded tweet? Wonder no more. Tulsi Gabbard caused a $50 million bat-swinging PR-flattening legal monster because she apparently got tired of being casually tossed around by a table full of yelling daytime TV hosts, like a fun fact in a gossip column.
Yeah, did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
And there's versions of it.
Naturally, Joe Rogan quickly followed suit and joined this blazing wave of televised Roger, with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer wrapped in podcast merchandise, tore into The View hosts as if they were a sampler platter of media malpractice. He was laughing his way through the mess, acting like a man who had just watched a house of cards collapse after warning everyone that the wind was coming.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
Well, I guess we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing.
However, let's take a moment to explain how the view that exalted group talk in a studio has given rise to a cottage industry. Somewhere along the line, they concluded that Tulsi Gabbard posed a threat to democracy, decency, and brunch. While they were busy turning real defamation into a segment filler between recipes and celebrity rumors, Tulsi Gabbard was discreetly honing her legal skills.
Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why,
I mean, you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. It's why I ran for Congress.
She didn't storm the set. She didn't unleash a TikTok tirade or throw a tantrum in the press. Tulsi Gabbard did something far more disruptive. She filed a lawsuit, a grown-up move, an expensive, strategic, no-nonsense power play. The kind of move that comes with receipts, seasoned legal counsel, and enough self-control to transform snide daytime shade into evidence fit for court. While the ladies of The View were busy perfecting the fine art of eye rolls and interrupting each other mid-cliche, Tulsi was dialing her lawyer. And Joe Rogan, he saw the lawsuit and practically popped metaphorical champagne. The man has built a career poking holes in mainstream media narratives, and The View, with its chaotic debates and surface-level sound bites, is his Everest of dysfunction. He's said it before. If you want to witness the intellectual collapse of public discourse, just watch The View try to discuss foreign policy like they're baking banana bread. So when news broke that Tulsi was suing for $50 million, Rogan didn't just laugh, he nearly needed a seatbelt. At long last, someone had the receipts, the guts, and the legal firepower to call out a show that mistakes volume for victory. Tulsi wasn't playing daytime games. She came to remind them, real life has consequences.
Might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So
Really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
He didn't just criticize. They got roasted, scorched, and served with a side of brutal honesty. Joe Rogan went in, not just for defamation, but for what The View has become, a cultural punchline pretending to be informed commentary. He compared their debates to a chaotic Thanksgiving dinner, minus the fact-checking, plus more commercial breaks. With relish, Rogan dissected the formula. Take a current event, add a dash of ignorance, stir in some personal bias, and serve. It lukewarmed to an audience half asleep on daytime TV autopilot. This wasn't just shade, this was a full-blown takedown. He torched the show like it was built from cue cards and buzzwords, calling it a sanctuary for baseless accusations wrapped in moral grandstanding, where applause breaks and exaggerated pauses are passed off as evidence. Each host, he noted, plays the part of an all-knowing oracle, when really, it's just a carousel of shallow takes and recycled Twitter fights. And let's not pretend Tulsi Gabbard is an easy target. She's a former congresswoman, a military veteran, and someone who's lived in the trenches of real policy, unlike most of the panel whose closest brush with research might be skimming headlines. She broke from the party line, and in a media echo chamber, that's practically a crime.
You on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen.
What The View did wasn't just a bad take. It was a full-blown career hit job dressed up as faux concern. Tulsi Gabbard's lawsuit might as well have come with a mic drop. Congratulations, you played yourselves. Now say it to a judge. No press tour, no cryptic tweets, no emotional Instagram captions. She skipped the theatrics and walked straight into a courtroom. And that's when Joe Rogan shifted gears, from amused observer to full-blown hype man. He didn't just support the lawsuit, he championed it like it was a long overdue public service announcement. Because for Rogan, this wasn't just about Tulsi. It was about finally challenging a media machine that feeds on superficial outrage, spins every fact until it's unrecognizable, and lives in an echo chamber of opinion dressed up as truth. He applauded her for doing what so many only dream of doing, what's usually confined to group chats, podcasts, and Reddit rants. He mocked the way the hosts constantly act like the final word on every complex issue, even though their collective analysis rarely stretches beyond trending hashtags. Rogan didn't just laugh, he deconstructed their entire format. In his eyes, The View isn't a talk show. It's a morality cosplay convention where facts are optional, nuance is non-existent, and whoever shouts the loudest wins. And Tulsi, she didn't play their game. No drama, just documentation, no clapbacks, just case files. While they turned outrage into optics, she turned slander into strategy. That's what earned Rogan's respect. It wasn't a response. It was a surgical strike on the circus of daytime TV in
View has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person, and what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly.
Meanwhile, The View carried on like it still lived in a consequence-free bubble, where flippant remarks vanish into thin air and accountability is just a myth. But here's the catch. This time, they didn't just crack a joke about a pop star's outfit or mispronounce a celebrity's name. They made serious claims that could damage someone's reputation and career. And for once, someone called their bluff. Tulsi's lawsuit yanked the curtain back, exposing just how recklessly these platforms wield their influence. And Joe Rogan, the unofficial patron saint of independent media skeptics, took that opportunity to shine, a floodlight on the entire ecosystem. He called out daytime TV for what it's become: outrage packaged as entertainment, speculation passed off as bravery, and clapbacks mistaken for intellectual debate. He joked that The View might want to hire a legal advisor right next to their wardrobe stylist, or better yet, a basic civics tutor. Because when your version of journalism involves shouting over your co-host while butchering foreign policy terms, you probably shouldn't be shocked when someone slaps you with a lawsuit. And Rogan didn't stop there. He launched into a comedic teardown of how these shows are even produced. Panels of hosts competing to outrage each other, backed by cue cards written by someone who skimmed headlines on their lunch break. He laughed at how the show keeps pretending it's shaping national discourse, when half the time, it can't even navigate a topic without drowning in buzzwords.
Shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right. whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking.
Tulsi, on the other hand, was stone cold and surgical. No shouting, no drama, just a legal filing so precise it turned The View's soapbox into a witness stand. She didn't just step into the ring, she came with blueprints and started measuring for a new roof. While the show relied on volume and vibes, Tulsi relied on facts and finesse. Joe Rogan treated the whole ordeal like a masterclass, and the lesson was crystal clear. Just because you're on TV doesn't mean you're above accountability. Just because you clap on camera doesn't make your opinion credible. And just because you pretend to care doesn't mean you won't get sued when that performative concern crosses into defamation. This wasn't some petty celebrity feud. It was a cultural Rorschach test. Do you see a courageous woman standing up to media recklessness, or a bitter ex-politician trying to cash in on outrage? If you're Joe Rogan, it's absolutely the former. And he's far from alone. The number of people who celebrated when that lawsuit made headlines, enough to fill a stadium, or at the very least, light up an entire subreddit with digital fireworks. What made it even juicier? The View never saw it coming. They probably thought stage lights and the sass would shield them. But courtrooms don't care about ratings. They care about receipts, evidence, and consequences. 3 things the show seems to fumble the moment the teleprompter runs dry.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Rogan's mockery came with a grin, but it also came with receipts. He called out how often daytime shows coast on the flimsiest grasp of complex issues, only to act shocked when someone finally calls their bluff. For him, Tulsi's lawsuit wasn't a PR stunt, it was a long overdue warning shot. and it's echoing loud enough to rattle every studio with a comfy couch and a hot mic. The fallout? Oh, it's just getting started. Media insiders are clutching their pearls and triple-checking their liability clauses. Legal teams are probably combing through past episodes like forensic analysts, hunting for every off-script oops and borderline comment. And Rogan, he's likely queuing up a new podcast titled Why Screaming on Daytime TV is Not a Legal Defense. This isn't just a Tulsi versus TV moment. This is popcorn turns to champagne territory. Because the lawsuit goes beyond hot takes and performative outrage, it's aiming directly at the paper-thin wall of media immunity. This isn't some spat between a guest and a group of overly caffeinated hosts. It's the equivalent of suing the circus for letting the clowns run a press conference. At long last, someone's dragged a glitter-covered microphone into court and asked the real question. Are you legally allowed to be this ridiculous? And the cultural stakes? Massive in
about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragon.
Tulsi Gabbard's lawsuit didn't just make headlines. It kicked the door wide open for every public figure who's ever been chewed up and spit out by the media machine. Her message was clear. Go ahead, sling your sloppy accusations on national TV. But don't be surprised when someone shows up with a legal filing that has more footnotes than your entire research team has collectively skimmed. For too long, media personalities have operated in a fantasy land where being wrong doesn't cost a thing, except maybe a Twitter apology. Now, that mistake comes with an itemized, notarized $50 million receipt. And Joe Rogan, he's loving every second of it. This is a man who built his platform by listening longer than a 3-minute segment, watching The View squirm under legal. Pressure must feel like watching an improv troupe get audited. The fact that they might actually need a fact checker or someone who's finished a full Wikipedia article before going live is poetic justice. Rogan joked they might finally hire a lawyer who doesn't get their legal education from Instagram Reels. But beneath the jokes, the message hits hard. Smear campaigns aren't just tacky PR anymore. They're financial liabilities. Tulsi keeps her receipts like a tax auditor with a vendetta, and now daytime TV has to reckon with that. This lawsuit is cultural dynamite. The talk show table just became a courtroom bench. The gossip segment? Exhibit A. And that coffee mug? A potential liability. Joe Rogan didn't have to scream. He just laughed, pointed, and let the facts speak for themselves. Tulsi filed the paperwork. Rogan brought the popcorn. And The View? They'd better start viewing their legal options. Because the real drama isn't on TV anymore. It's in court.